Oh, we are live. Wow,
Live.
I'm so excited for this live stream. Guys, welcome to this live stream where we are going to be talking about a lovely topic, aka why are we so passionate about China? But
Yes.
first, we need to introduce the one, the only, the most unique, the absolutely fantastically talented Happi. Oh my goodness. Guys, if you don't know who Happi is, you need to know. Happi, I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, please.
Can do. Thank you so much, Jen, first of all, for having me be here. This is so much fun. I'm so excited to talk with you. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Happi, and I am currently learning Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. But I have a huge passion for many different aspects of Asian culture and have studied abroad in both Japan and in China and have taken Korean in Japanese and in Chinese. And so I've done a lot of traveling in China. I've been to over 30 different provinces. I love learning dialects and eating everything and dancing and singing. And so I'm and also just making friends, which is why it's also just so much fun to be here with Jen because we have so much in common and we just get to just fan about everything. So I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I love being here. So thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited because honestly, if you guys don't know much about Happi yet, if you look on her Instagram, it is the most colorful and most bright place to be. The second that you scroll on her Instagram and you see these videos, you see skits. Okay, this girl does skits and these different dance videos are unreal. I honestly wish that I could dance. I literally just move
That's dancing. That's dancing. Just saying.
Yeah,
you're getting down there. Come on, get it.
Right. So the point is that we are very excited to be talking with you today, Happi, because we are going to kind of get to know you, get to know your story, and we're just going to talk about why are we so passionate about China, what makes China special. So
Yes.
I guess we can just get into it. We have some fancy little banner things that we're going to show you guys so you can follow along on the questions. I love this little fancy technology.
Fancy banners.
So Happi, let's start from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Why are you so interested in Asian cultures?
Well, I would love to say it's because I grew up with a bunch of influences all around me and a really beautiful, diverse, and just really immersive culture. But it's not. So I actually started in the Midwest of America and kind of near Chicago area. Okay, 4 hours away. And started in a very kind of secluded countryside town with just cornfields and no real Asian culture influences whatsoever. We had one Asian market that was owned by a Dongbei couple, and there were only a few westernized Chinese food places. There was one Japanese restaurant that was owned by Fujianese. So it was a very small town that really didn't have any diversity at all. So that's where I grew up. And I was actually homeschooled until 8th grade. So I didn't even really know the reality of my hometown until I started going to public school. So in public school, I realized, the world's not what I thought it was. And it was interesting because even then, I didn't really have any immersion into different cultures and different languages. So it really started in high school when I started watching anime. So through anime, I started learning Japanese and getting interested in Japanese. And then for some reason, there was this one guy from Minnesota who was teaching Japanese at my high school, this public high school in the middle of nowhere. And there's a Japanese class. So that was just the universe knew it was to be done. So I started taking Japanese classes, and then I got the opportunity to go to Japan for 10 days through the Kizuna project. And through that, basically, my whole life changed because that was my first time going abroad, over the ocean to the other side of the world and realizing, the world is bigger than cornfields. So through that, basically, like, fast forward, I started learning Japanese. I make a ton of Chinese exchange student friends at the university, start learning Chinese from them. I also start learning Korean because I start listening to K-pop, and then I start loving Korean dramas, and it's just like a ton of fun. Just really learning about all of the different cultures. And then as a college student, I took Japanese and Chinese language. And so I was a Japanese and Chinese double major. And then I independently traveled in China for 7 months. I studied abroad in Japan for a year, and then I studied abroad in China for a semester. And then I moved to Hawaii, and I've been living in Hawaii ever since. So that is kind of my little like journey with Asian culture from very, very humble beginnings.
I love that. I love that so much. Like, it really started out small, and then you like really expanded to kind of get to know more. So like, so your first, I guess, encounter with, I guess, Asian culture was from anime, right? So from
Yes.
Japanese kind of. So what was like your first experience with Chinese? Was it from those students, those other students? Okay.
So
Okay,
it was definitely the exchange students. And with like Chinese specifically, I also was doing a summer job over in Colorado where I was doing like housekeeping and working with a bunch of internationals, and a majority of them were from China. So even with that, I got to work every day alongside Chinese, and like thus like started learning Chinese because I got really interested in their culture. Like, they were amazing friends and just so hospitable and caring and engaging and fun, and just really got to just get to know everybody like in the area, and just so much more diversity from my hometown. And through that, then once I went back to my hometown and on my campus, there was like a ton of Chinese exchange students. So I would just really hang out with them. So I got to be immersed in Chinese culture while in the Midwest.
I love that. I love that. So would you say that like it was people that inspired you to learn the language?
Definitely. Yeah. Because I just really fell in love with the people. And I think Japanese anime like did spark kind of the initial interest in learning Japanese and all that. But it was really like going to Japan for those 10 days and being immersed in the culture and meeting the people and realizing, oh my gosh, language is something that I can use to make more friends. And there are so many Chinese people, and they're such wonderful friends. So that was really a big just motivation for me, because I love making friends. I love like meeting new people, like listening to stories and getting to know like different cultures. And so Chinese was just like perfect. So that's kind of how it all started.
I love that. See, for you, it all came from like other people and like all this influence kind of around you. See, for myself, the first time that I got involved with, I guess, the Chinese language or the culture was I actually was working inside of just a retail store at the time, and one of my coworkers was Chinese, and every once in a while, like she would tell me, like teach me some cute words or something, just of the product that we were selling and stuff. So she would introduce tiny bits of that to me, but me and her became so close, like this. And
That's so cool.
at the time, I was also switching programs at my university, so I could take any class that I wanted to. And she was like, she said, Jen, you should take Chinese. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think that would be good, because me and her business at the time didn't end up happening, right? But like, I was like, well, if I'm going to be working with like Chinese people and stuff, then I should learn the language. So yeah, that's kind of like how it started. I started taking the classes and I was absolutely in love. I also just want to say thank you to everybody watching right now. We see your messages, and we promise I want to say hello to each and every single one of you, but I'm really bad at typing and talking at the same time. Can't really. I just want to say thank you guys for watching already. Hope you guys are enjoying. If you guys have any questions for us, just talking about the culture and stuff, then you can just ask us in the chat and we will answer any questions that you guys have, because we're very excited to be talking about this topic today. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of both of our stories, right? Like we know how we got interested into it. So what made you keep wanting to learn the language, and like what made you actually like motivated to continue? I'm just really curious.
Yeah. Like because with your situation, it was you had like a coworker and then you started taking classes. But
Yeah.
then like probably classes did help with like
He's my
wanting
teacher,
to
yeah.
continue. Yeah.
Love my teacher. He's amazing. And I still have the same teacher like this semester. I'm going to have him again. I'm so excited.
Dude, congrats! That's so cool. I think for me, what was like a real motivation was the fact that my friends would be going back to China, and that like because they were usually in this 1-to-1 program, so they only had 2 years of their college time in America, and then they would go back to their like back to China. So because of that, like I was saying like goodbye to so many friends, and just really wanted to go to China to be able to see them again and like hang out with them, like visit their like families and get to know like their hometowns, and just that really inspired me like to just continue working hard, because I knew that it would be useful like when I go to China. So I already had it set in my mind, I'm going to China, and I basically did right when I got like the opportunity. And that like I think that like really inspired me. And what also inspired me was when I got to China, I realized I don't understand anyone's accents. So
That's it. That's
yeah. It also didn't help that one of the first people that I interacted with was like a Beijing like taxi driver. Like I could not understand anything that he was saying, and I was like, I've learned Chinese for 2 years. How is this possible? Like it totally makes sense now that I look back at it, but it was very interesting because that also inspired me. Like I have so much more to learn, like, and just meeting other like foreigners in China that had been living there for like 7+ years or so, and to realize, wow, there's a lot more room for me to improve. And that was really inspirational. So I really loved that. And then how about you? Like going from classes, like coworker to classes, and then like you've also spent like time in China, yeah?
Yeah, so for me, it was kind of like I like after my first 2 semesters taking Chinese, I loved it so much. And in like so I had September to December. I had in January, I found out like while I was doing my second semester, I found out that my university offers a program for people to go abroad. So you can go for 1 month to learn Chinese. And so that's what I did. I just went there and I was so scared. Like I convinced so many of my friends. I was like, I used some like persuasive techniques, and I said, guys, you gotta come. So basically, I went with my friends to China, and it was like again, like you, the first time I went in there, like I had some crazy experiences, but like I couldn't understand a lot of people because like in Dongbei they have a lot of heavier accents, I guess. So I learned like Beijing Korean, and in Dongbei, like it's like they still have some similarities, but it was a lot like heavier and thicker. And I was like, whoa. After a while, obviously you get used to it, right? And you kind of get to understand it. But at first it was like, whoa, oh my God, I really don't know anything because I only was studying 2 semesters. And here I am. And like, listen to this too. Like I was always the person, like I would go up to the taxi drivers and I would be like, yo, this is where we're going. Like I would be so confident. And I realized really now I'm less confident than I was then. Like even back then I was like, I love this so like, but I don't know why. Like now I'm just less confident because I know where I'm making mistakes. Like I can hear my mistakes.
Yeah.
like, okay. See, back then I didn't even know I was making mistakes. I just talked. I said every word I had to say. So But I have a question for you. When was your first time going to China? Like what?
So my first time was I had just finished my freshman year of college, and then I had 5 months of summer vacation in between. Like I know, right? 5 months. So I had 5 months in between my time from like finishing freshman year in America and then starting sophomore year in Japan. So because of that, I went ahead and just started like just planning, right? Like what am I going to do for these 5 months? So I decided like the day after finishing my first like semester, or well, my first year in college, I'm going to go to China. So I did. I got as a 19-year-old with like 2 years exposure to Chinese, and just like third year classes as a freshman of Chinese like in my college. But it's a Midwest college. It's not really that like prestigious for Chinese studies, but they were trying. So I like got on a plane and I went over to China and I just WeChatted my friends like, hey, which province do you live in? I'm in China. Can I stop by? And I basically did that for 5 months.
I love that. That would be such an incredible experience. Just like, you know, hop in, visiting your friends, and like you probably experience so many new things, which is like absolutely incredible. Oh, I wanted to. There's a question here. When was your first time to speak Chinese, and how did you get encouraged? So I think like for myself, speaking like I never spoke with like a local, I guess, like with an actual Chinese person, probably until like my second semester. I just got a language partner and I forced myself to. It's not about if I had the courage or not. I just went in for it because I knew that that was my goal. My goal was to learn. Yeah, for some reason, when I got to China though, I felt so confident. I don't know why. It was just a wave of confidence that I really shouldn't have had.
No,
But
well, I think that honestly, as a foreigner for your first time, like being of non-Chinese descent, like to be in China, there's kind of this honeymoon phase, or like I call it the rock star phase. So it's during the rock star phase, because it doesn't matter what you say. Everyone's like, "哇，你中文这么好啊！哎呀妈呀！" Like they'll say that kind of stuff, right? Especially in Dongbei is probably how they said it. 哇，你讲得老好呀，那为啥呀？ Like that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
I'm dying. That's exactly like literally all the time. Or like, you know, for me also, like I don't mind when people like I guess I'm walking down the street and people look at me and they hear me speak a bit of Chinese and then they just look and stare at me. And then I talk to them, you know, I'm like, oh, they think I'm cool probably, you know.
It's the first phase, my friend. That is what happens when you're first in China.
That's right, because now it's way over, you know? Like,
yes, I know. Some foreigners don't get out of that phase though. Like out of the rock star phase, it's kind of scary. But like, yeah, it's definitely a phase. Definitely. Yeah. So I love that. So for me, I would say my first time speaking in Chinese, I actually tried speaking to kitchen workers in my hometown. So I would babysit their kids. And I remember distinctly, like when I was first learning Chinese, like I hadn't taken any classes. I had only really like learned a few words and basic phrases from friends. And one of the kitchen workers, they asked me to pick up their grandpa from the airport because they would be working at the restaurant the whole day. So I remember going and picking up the grandpa, and he couldn't speak any English. My Chinese was really bad, but I still tried to say everything that I could and like have conversation with him and like talk about like his family and all of that. And I remember that's the day that I learned 堵车, like it's like traffic, like there's a traffic jam. And so I got to like, he taught me how to say 堵车 because there was traffic while I was bringing him back over to his family's house. So I remember that like very distinctly as kind of one of the first times like talking to someone that didn't have any English ability, because it's one thing to try and speak Chinese, it's another knowing that there's no English you can fall back on. So I thought that was definitely like a really big like kind of step for me. So do we have a few other questions like in the comments right now? Oh my gosh.
I love how you guys are just asking us questions because we had a plan, but like I prefer answering your guys' questions. So
yes, no, you have such a wonderful following. Like I already love these guys so much. So thank you guys so much for being so curious about us. Oh my God.
I love it. Okay, so here's the next one from May. What about money? Do you know any programs to travel to China all paid? This is a complicated one because this is really like, it depends. You have to do research. It most likely might probably not be all paid, but it also could be. You have to research. I only know of like programs that are all paid. Like for example, my university's program, it wasn't all paid, but we had scholarships. So I actually paid in total for the entire month. I like including flights. I paid 400 Canadian dollars. Yeah. So it was really a good price. But like for example, one of those scholarships I could only get one time, so I couldn't get it the second time, for example. So there was just some of those things, but it like I only went on the program because it would be that cheap. Otherwise, there's also another one like the master's program that I know is all paid for, and yeah, like you have to really just like do your research, I think, because I wish I could have more answers for you, but I don't. But Happy, do you know of any?
Well, for me, I don't know any programs because I went by myself, which I wouldn't like suggest for every 19-year-old. Like, but for me, what the situation was is that I already had a ton of friends and contacts and people that I could trust in China. And so when I went to a province, like I would contact someone, like I had somewhere to stay usually, and then I would also like make friends along the way and then like find new places. So I remember one time when I didn't know where I was going to stay that night, I was looking for a place to plug in my phone because it needed to charge. And then I made friends with these two girls, like when I was trying to find like a plug because I was plugging it under their table. And then I made friends with them. And then one of them was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? It's this one like 端午节. It's like the Dragon Boat Festival." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything." She's like, "Oh, would you like to come over to meet my family and like experience an authentic 端午节?" Like, and so I did. And I remember the car ride all the way over to her hometown. And then she took me to this like waffle restaurant. And then I made friends with the owner of the waffle restaurant. And then they invited me to be the singer at their bar. And so I went and was a singer for a month. So yeah, that's the kind of
I'm literally shocked because this is how it works for you. You just like, you go one place and then somehow you're just the kind of person like, because you're so bubbly and you just love talking to people and like, you're so friendly, right? That like
yeah.
you people, and then all of a sudden now these 5 people will go home and you'll be able to go to all 5 of those places and visit them now because you've made friends with them within an hour and now they're inviting you. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's amazing. I have yet to experience anything like that because I wasn't there for that long and like I was there as a part of programs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But like I think that's absolutely incredible. I think that's a great way to do it though, like to try to make friends while you're there. Yeah, it's amazing. Like it makes your experience so much more wholesome. And also they're probably super excited to share their culture with you too.
Yeah. Like
it's like oh,
hospitality. Exactly. Like their hospitality is so amazing. Not saying that like everybody should now just go out and like hang out with and get into anybody strangers' cars. Like that's also not what I would suggest for all 19-year-olds. But for me, like I was very like blessed and very protected in that aspect. But because at the beginning, like I definitely didn't understand kind of like what just traveling or making friends in China really entailed. But I did meet a lot of good people, a lot of bad people, but like a lot of good people as well. So I'm just really like happy for that. One of the comments said that I look like a bobblehead, isn't it? So I should just go like this, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Amazing.
I love these comments.
Yeah, they're so funny. Okay, so Autumn here mentions that she has heard of a program called Start China, but she isn't sure what it involves. So whoever is that kind of thing, maybe you can research it a little bit and see what that is about. So that would be a top tip from Autumn. Thank you, Autumn.
Thanks, Autumn.
I have a quick one here. I guess this one's for me. What was your experience being Canadian in China? I mean, I think it's the same as any foreigner in China, to be honest. It's just chill. I mean,
you go first, because I got comments.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think that like it was chill. I just was a foreigner in China. I guess a non-Asian person, you get stared at a little bit depending on what city you go to, and that was new but interesting. Otherwise, I think it's just mainly cultural differences. Like there's a lot of things that like we would do in Canada. For example, every time somebody would like take my order, I would say 谢谢, and then they would leave, and I'd be like 谢谢. Like we say thank you all the time. But there they don't do that. And like there was even one instance where this one guy was like, why are you saying thank you? Like you don't have to. Like, why are like he brought me like this drink, and I'm like thanks, and he goes don't why like why are you saying what's wrong? So anyway, there's like some like I guess cultural things were just like I'm like I don't understand what I'm doing wrong here. Like I'm just being polite, but to them they're like what the heck?
Yes, no, the politeness. I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. No, yeah. For me, yeah. So for me, I have a comment. So because I studied abroad in Shanghai in 2017, and so when I would introduce myself, originally I would introduce myself as American, and then people would have like annoying questions about like political situations. So I started calling myself Canadian, actually. So I also got to experience what it's like being Canadian in Canada. So many of them were like, well, at least you're not from like another country that has like some issues right now. So it was really nice to say I was Canadian. So I totally have experience doing that. I said I was Russian for a little bit as well, but like that was kind of like a long shot because then one person started speaking Russian to me and I'm like, I'm a Russian that can't speak Russian. Because there are so many Russians, though.
Yeah,
like, it's very normal.
I was in Harbin, right? And like Harbin is like right next to Russia. So
yeah.
Russians. And the thing is my family is Polish, so maybe we look a little bit Eastern European. So like, a lot of people thought I was Russian, like so. And then one time I was shopping, and all of a sudden one lady starts speaking Russian, and I was like, huh? You're Chinese, and like you're speaking Russian to me, and I'm like, I was like, what ting budong? I was like, like,
awesome. Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah. I did a live stream with this one Korean guy who's learning Chinese, and he also said that when he was in Dongbei, like he was studying abroad there, many people thought he was from Chaoshan, like from North Korea, because he was so like North Korea is so close, and there's an entire like minority of Chinese that also speak Korean, and some of them are actually like tour guides here in Hawaii, also like Chinese that can speak both Chinese and Korean, and then are doing tourism here in Hawaii because they can speak both languages and do like for both like audiences, which is so cool. Like I love that. So I thought that was really interesting. And he said, yeah, like lots of them don't know that I'm actually from Korea. Like I've had to learn Chinese. Like I'm working on this. So I thought that was really fun. I totally want to go to Dongbei someday. Like I can't speak Russian, but I think it would be really funny, like to have like one like of like the white foreigners and then a Korean foreigner speaking Korean while in China. Like I thought that would be funny.
I totally feel that. And like sometimes like, those kind of situations really shock you when you're in China because like there's so unexpected things that like I guess you expect some things to be so typical, and then all of a sudden you come across a Chinese person who speaks Russian, or you'll come across like a white person and a Chinese person speaking Korean, and like you're like, wait, what? Like hold the front door. Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? So funny. Okay, anyway.
That's so true.
There's a question here that is a little bit, I guess, still talking about different languages kind of inside of, so this is dialect. Can you understand Hokkien or other Chinese dialects? What can you?
Here, so I'm learning Cantonese and I love Hokkien. So it's interesting because in Hawaii, particularly, there's already like 170 plus years of history of Chinese immigration to Hawaii, and many of them are Hokkien or like Cantonese speakers. So it's really interesting to kind of learn about those languages here. But then I also know in Singapore, and like there's many like Cantonese, like Hokkienese, speakers as well, like as their like original dialect or their original language, then Mandarin, then Singlish. Like so I've been learning a little bit. So for Hokkienese, I only know like japung, which is to eat, or like 吃饭. And then for like 廣東話 like 食飯啦 like 你好啊 我係樂燕 like 你做乜嘢 你做乜嘢 I only because I was in a Cantonese band here in Hawaii for a season.
You're so impressive. Like I'm literally like I keep learning more and more things about you. Like you've done so much. Like
oh, thank you. No, I've gotten into so much, bro.
Oh my god, this is so great. But I love that you're in a Cantonese band. That's amazing.
Yeah, Cantonese is so much fun. I love Cantonese 80s music so much. Like 四大天王 Zhang Xueyou, Liu Dehua, Guo Fucheng, Li Mian, like they're amazing. Like Zhang Xueyou, like he's like just got this amazing like 80s voice, like with this like just really good Cantonese music. Like it's just so beautiful. So I have a lot of Cantonese music that I really want to learn, but I've only learned like one like Deng Li Jun song, like 祝你身邊路雖遠未疲倦, like that kind of stuff. So I still got a lot to learn. But yes, how about you? What is your experience with these dialects specifically?
Well, why don't I tell you? The experience is Actually, no. 0.5. And I'll tell you what the 0.5 is.
What's the 0.5?
Let me tell you. So I spent a majority of my summer last year in Zhuhai, which is right next to Hong Kong and Macau. And so me and my friend decided to go to Macau for a bit, but like we were confused. We said we don't really know what language we're supposed to use there because like a lot of people apparently like people don't like it if you use Mandarin, but like they'll speak English. So it's or they'll also speak like other languages, like I think Portuguese.
Yeah.
So like there's so many different things. So we just thought, okay, we have to learn one phrase, and that one phrase is, "Can you speak Mandarin?" Just as a backup. So we learned how to speak in Cantonese. Do you speak Mandarin? And let me
say it. How do you say it?
Okay, I kind of forgot. Hold on. 你識唔識講普通話？
好勁啊！
Sorry, I butchered it. But you know what? At the time, we really were on it, and it came into use 3 times in one day. So we thought it was a good thing to know. So if you're going to Macau, guys, you speak a little bit of Mandarin, and you don't speak Cantonese, it might come into use. Okay, so there you go. Free lesson.
Yeah. Right there. That's so cool. No, I've actually been to Macau too. I went to a Chen Yixin like concert there for New Year's. So I got to spend New Year's like while I was studying abroad in Japan. So just like hopped over to Macau, Alman. And the thing is that it was all in Cantonese and I knew nothing of Cantonese at the time. I only knew like one of his like songs in Cantonese. Like something like that. I'm really bad at it though.
That sounds beautiful.
Oh, thank you. No, these are such fun questions. Oh my gosh. I love how you have such interesting like experience with all of these too.
I love it too because like we had such a direction for this live stream, but now we're just like, this is a Q&A now.
It's a Q&A, guys. Right? Like I love that you have such amazing like followers. Like these are so cool. Like I love your community here, bro.
They're amazing. Awesome. I love them all. Thank you again, guys, for joining us and asking us questions. Autumn has a question too in regards to the last one. I've never listened to Cantonese or other dialects. Do they sound quite similar to Mandarin? I feel like like a lot of them don't, like they really don't, but there's some things that maybe will sound similar. Like for example, in Cantonese, like you can say some things and understand that like when I was saying that past phrase, if you say like 你识不识, that's like 你会不会, like it's
like 你是不是, like 你认识不是, 你认不认,
yeah, so that kind of thing. Or some things maybe sound similar, but like they are like different though. Like don't think you can just understand it because you cannot. But there are some things that maybe might sound similar, but like you would have to pick them out. Yeah.
Yeah, like also like when I was studying abroad in Shanghai, so I learned a bit of Shanghai Hua as well. So like there's aspects that you would be able to relate back to Mandarin, I think. So in the case of like learning the dialect from a Mandarin perspective or from an English perspective, Mandarin is going to be much closer, is really the only way that you can kind of like say that they're similar. But because they all have such beautiful long history, and Mandarin has only been a part, like the main communication like language for about 70 years or so, like it's still fairly new. So like it's like lots of people still are very strong with their dialects and then have been using their dialects like forever. So to like they're all very unique and have like this beautiful history like behind them, and they all have very like specific words that Mandarin doesn't have. Like even for Cantonese, there's so much like words, there's so many words, there's so much history and like just really interesting aspects of Cantonese that Mandarin can't really like show. So or that Mandarin doesn't have. So even like music wise too, like Cantonese just has this like this other kind of this deeper aspect to it than Mandarin can. And it's really interesting because a lot of dialects are like that as well, because there's this beautiful like context that is behind a word or like a certain kind of like slang like in these different dialects that Mandarin just doesn't really like have the ability to comprehend, like, which is really beautiful. So I would say they definitely are very different. but then certain, like, I would say also north and south sound very different than east west. Like, they all sound very different. Places that are closer to Beijing, like Dongbei, they're going to have aspects that are closer, so it'd probably be easier to learn from a Mandarin perspective, whereas if you're learning like Hokkien or like other dialects, like Mandarin's not really going to help you at all. But more than English.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah. But I also do want to mention too that in most places, like you can speak Mandarin and people will be able to understand you. So don't worry too much. Like we're not trying to say like in Shanghai, you only need to know is Shanghai Hua. Like
No,
that,
we're
like
not like that anymore.
Yeah, almost everywhere. Like when I was in Guangdong, I was in there for like 2 months and I used Mandarin everywhere. So don't worry. Like you're gonna be fine. I know because Autumn is gonna be going to China in like the new year, hopefully when the borders open. So
they just opened to a bunch of European countries.
I saw that, but you have to have a particular visa I saw for that. So hopefully they're gonna open it for like tourists soon. And when that is open, then maybe we're gonna be, a little bit closer. So we're gonna keep our fingers crossed and we'll see. Anyway. Okay. So, let me see if there is one more question here. Would you recommend going to China before learning Mandarin or after learning the basics?
After learning basics.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah, because then you can actually communicate. Like even if like when I went, I only learned for 2 semesters before I went to China, and I knew just basics, right? Like it was really hard for me to understand people, but after you know the basics, you also can learn pretty easily. It's easier for you to learn rather than starting completely from scratch. So yeah, learning some basics and understanding like even if you don't understand a character, like how can you translate that? Like how can you ask where the bathroom is? Like I don't know, like simple stuff. How can you order some food? Just knowing basics, I think, is very important. So
yes, definitely hardcore retweet. Like exactly.
Amazing.
Of that, yes.
And that's that. I think that's all we really have to say about that. Like that's just our advice. If you want to go without knowing anything, though, that's also totally cool. Also depends. Are you going to learn Chinese? Because I think you could start from zero if you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you're going to learn anyway. So
just don't go expecting everyone to speak English to you.
Exactly. Yes.
Don't do that. Like actually learn a little bit. Like
very true.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So what's funny here is that we actually only answered the first question that I had for you.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, you still have so many questions.
We do, but we probably won't get to them all. But this one I'm super curious about, and I really feel that we could talk about this for a long time. So, guys, are you ready?
Yes.
Where do you see China in the future? Like, what are you excited for about China? Like,
okay, so you know how like K-pop and J-pop are getting like really popular all around the world? I'm excited for C-pop. Like for Mando Pop to like just start taking over, like for everyone to just realize how beautiful Chinese music is and just how like because it's poetry. It's such poetry. Like, and I'm really excited for that to just really be appreciated. Like you also have like Rap Star of China right now. Like there's just so much, and then they're using dialects and rap. Like, bro, like that is art. Like it is so cool and just so beautiful. Like there's so many different kinds of music. Like there's so much creativity in China, like in the music industry. And so I'm really excited for that to just really kind of like go like all across the world, for everyone to just start really recognizing like the beauty of like Chinese music and like of Chinese like language. And I'm also excited for authentic Chinese to become the norm of like food culture as well.
Yes. Oh, that would be amazing. Like for more people to, I guess, experience it from from their own respective countries. That would be so cool. But I love how you say music. Like, I never even thought about that. But now that you mentioned it, I'm like, yes, bring in the Mandarin pop songs. Hear them all. Like I love that. Oh my god. And by the way, guys, I'm just gonna do a quick plug for you, Happi. But Happi also sings in Chinese. So y'all just, for Instagram, I'm gonna add it to the description like ASAP because I forgot to do that earlier. But
Oh,
follow her. So you can experience the beautiful voice that is of Happi. Anyway, oh, quickly, I want to pop up this comment because Autumn here says her 3-year-old brother is watching with her and wants us to say hi to Bias. Hi,
Tobias.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
So precious.
That's so precious. We hope you're having a great day, Tobias. I know it's raining close to where you are, but hopefully the sun comes out shining just for you. Okay?
Just for you. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, okay, so more things to add. Let me think. So I was actually just recently taking a course about global trends in business and society.
Ooh.
I thought that it was super interesting. So it talked a bit about China and like the future of China as well, but more economically. So there's a lot of like economic ways, like some people think that it's already like the #1 largest economy in the world. Some people but some people argue that, and like, I don't know, this is kind of more like academic, but I just think it's really interesting because I see when I look at China, all I see is potential, like city-wise and like for people, for work, for art, for entertainment. There's oh my God, I literally just got chills. Okay, but the entire, I guess, idea of it, like, I'll bring in an example. Shenzhen, 40 years ago, wasn't like a city. Like it was like a tiny one, little one. But now it's the 4th largest city in China. And to think about it that way, like, and I've been there for 2 days, it left such an impression on me that I want to live there for the rest of my life. Like I was only there for 2 days. Like I'm there, like to see the potential of what China is capable of and so quickly, and how youthful, like even Shenzhen itself is just so youthful that I find that this can become a common thing in a bunch of other Chinese cities as well, that maybe other places, like other countries, haven't had the opportunity to do before. So, for example, like in Shenzhen, you go there and right away they have all these different areas. You can tell, like, they have all of the different headquarters of like companies in one area. They have these massive shopping malls. They have these underground street markets in one area. Like there's so many things that represent China, but also represent modern and international and like an incredible energy that just makes me want to go to the city because it's been only 40 years. Like that's this much in the scale of the history of the universe, right? Like, imagine what can happen in the next 100 years. So anyway, that's my reason. Like, I really love the energy and the vibe, for example, in Shenzhen. So I kind of see the rest of China following in that modern and like amazing artistic area of that.
That's so true, right? Like just the technology aspect of it is just so inspiring. Like the fact that like everything is through like WeChat Pay, like you just like this, like the lifestyle is because like convenience, like Taobao. I'm like addicted to Taobao. Like just having everything right. Like it's just so good. And just how everything is so up to date, like on the same page, and yet they're still able to, in this like beautiful blend, and like maintain their aspects of their old traditional culture. That is just like this beautiful mix, that, and to be able to like balance like being global while also like maintaining their own culture and their own companies and their own like kind of like vibe going on, while also like embracing like other like aspects. Like I went to when I was in Chengdu, I had one performance over in the Bailu. And Bailu, it was this city, like this entire town that was built off of a French town. So it was built in the image of a French town, and so all of the architecture was like this beautiful French like kind of like architecture, like in the mountains, but then it's all Chinese, and it was the coolest thing ever to just have this beautiful mix of like just like because it's so much more creative. Like you don't have all of these things in the way to like I don't know like there's things that maybe other countries like their systems or like different aspects of kind of like what's able to be done or what's able to just kind of be tried out. Like it just doesn't really seem to have those kind of limitations. Like it's really just so much more kind of like there's more freedom of like creativity in that aspect. And so I just really am inspired by that, and I really love that aspect of China. And it is just so like there's so much to do. That's the other thing. There's just endless things to do. Like you're never bored is really what it feels like.
Truly, truly. Like there's always something to experience, especially because China's so big. Like you can experience one thing in the south, and in the north you're gonna get something completely different. Whether it's either just the weather, the food, like it can be simple things, but you get to realize that there's so many differences, and also just like their interests, like can differ so much, and you learn a lot about the different parts of the culture as well. Like it's so inspiring because you get to really understand just all of the different pieces, how they fit all together, and then how traditional pieces of China still manage to be really relevant in today's society while also them being or potentially being the largest economy in the entire world. That's absolutely nuts. Like I just think that the future of China is going to be really something to watch out for. And like you said too with music, that's going to be a big part of it because music is many cultures connect themselves. I just think that, for example, one limitation is that a lot of people don't want to listen to music that they can't understand. So that's but also with time that changes because I do look at a lot of people are really into like French music or something, like they're getting into more European styles, and like K-pop is becoming so intense. So it's like, well, why can't Mando pop? Like for example, I don't know if you heard of Wavy, but like
yes, Wavy. Oh my god!
I love them.
I've been listening to them a ton.
We love boy bands. We love these little boy groups. Okay, because they bring in the energy. They bring in such a new way of doing entertainment that we don't do in the West. Like through their music videos, through their art. So anyway, anyway, so that's kind of like.
No, yeah, I know, right? Like just like the artistic amazingness, like the awe of it is so cool. Like because they have their focus like of their like industries in very different areas than I think a lot of Western like artists do or like industries do. So I just really feel more like comfortable and also just more inspired and just more drawn to like Korean music, Japanese music, Chinese music than I am to like Western music. And and it's just so cool. And I'm really excited for when the world is like, now that they've gotten more used to kind of K-pop and being able to be more like kind of more used to that and more used to listening to those kind of like sounds, and then like for them to slowly then be more kind of like grow accustomed to like Chinese sounds and like Chinese music. Like I'm just really excited because there's a lot of talent and a lot of really good songs out there, like to really just I'm just excited for the world to just start appreciating them, because I don't know about you, but I like Chinese love songs like hit my heart way harder than anything else does.
Yeah, they truly hit. And like that's the thing too. It's just a matter of like appreciation. It's not like we're not trying to say anything like we believe that Chinese music is gonna be the best. Like it's just like right now, for example, like everybody knows Western music, everybody knows all these different artists. I think that there's like so many artists all around the world that need to, I guess, be appreciated more. And I guess we're just passionate because we got connections to these lovely artists and stuff. So I completely agree with you, and I think that hopefully in the future things will start to globalize even more, and more people will be able to appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. There's one comment here that just mentions that they hope that architectural trends, skyscrapers with like plants and gardens on them, become more popular. And honestly, I agree. I think that it's great.
Yes, totally. Yeah, like China is so progressive in that area too. Like, and it's totally different from when I was there. Like the first time in 2016, like the buses have all been changed. A lot of the cars are changed. Like the fact that they have like a lot of the architecture, right? Like they have air filters built into them. like they're really taking charge of like their whole situation. A lot of like sweatshops closed down. Like I was there kind of I got to see a lot of the different like factories. I got to live with factory workers for a week in Shanghai, and just really got to see kind of how like the green and more like environment friendly like systems were being put in place. Like it was just really inspiring, and I just really loved that. Right? Like that's so cool.
Yes, yes. Some of my Chinese friends, they also mentioned like they come here for 4 years to study and then they go back home. And I've had so many friends say that they go back after 2 years even, and they say everything's different.
Right?
Like one of my friends said that she came to Canada. When she came to Canada, like she like WeChat Pay wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, she had to be taught by people that she went to elementary school with, that they stayed in China and they experienced it all. They had to teach her how to like use some things in China, like from because she wasn't there. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Things change so quickly, and I think that they're very innovative there for sure. Obviously, like not perfect yet. Like there are obviously a lot of like problems, like economical problems, environmental problems. There are everything, right? And like those are problems that I guess everyone has to work towards fixing.
Yeah.
I mean, something like this, like the architectural trends with green skyscrapers and like the air filters and all these things, that's one step forward. And honestly, like I just think that that's a great step that a lot of the world could even just like come after. Like they could also do it, that kind of thing. So they're leading by in a lot of ways, and they are doing a lot of good things. Yeah. So
right, and they're trying things out. Like I think that's the most like innovative part of it, right? Like they're not satisfied with just sticking in one like standard of living. Like they're like, what can we do next? Like what's the next biggest thing? Like what can we do for our people next? And that's just like you really feel it while you're living there. Like just that continuous like pursuit of how can we make this better for our people. And I it's just so inspiring because it's a very different focus. And like I'm just like, yep, I just feel safe there, right? Just knowing things are good. Like it's so cool.
I love how you put that. New things are good, and like it's almost like it feels safe and it feels encouraging, and like you feel good kind of experiencing all of the new things, and it's okay to be innovative there and be kind of creative, especially in the way that you approach something like, let's say you're in business or something. Like there's so many creative ways you can approach that. And also like with how innovative they're being when like as the population grows too, because it has to be about being able to, I guess, what's the word, like accommodate so many people. There's just like a lot of exciting things that I feel like they understand what the problems are and they're working towards fixing them. Even for example, I did a project about Tesla moving one of their gigafactories to China, like in Shanghai. And just thinking about that, it's like that was a very smart move because that's also going to help bring up the electric cars and like that kind of thing. Like it's thinking people and the environment and also business and the government. Like you're bringing all aspects. Like I think they can be very interesting with how they go about all different projects, you know, around.
Right. Like, and I just love that. And it's so like wonderful to feel like just kind of like giddy every time that you're getting ready to go to China, and like to think like, I wonder what's different this time. Like what's different this round? Like what has changed? And I just think that's like just so beautiful. And I'm really excited for the next time that we go to see what else has improved.
I know, I'm so excited. It's gonna be wicked. Like once the corners open, I'm like, hi, okay, I'm back.
I'm back. Yeah, I will make so many videos. I need so much food. Lanzhou Lamian all the way.
I need to eat it. And I need to have some authentic zao cha. Like I need to I need chongfen. Authentic, good style chongfen.
Wow,
humor. I can't make chongfen here, okay? Sorry, I get really excited about this topic because I
know. We gotta move on. We gotta move forward. Otherwise, I'm just going to be just sad like the rest of the day.
Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to highlight a comment here. This is from my family friend, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
So he actually owns his own financial company, and he says he's moving more into clients over to China.
Wow.
He says he'll let me know the next time he's in town. Thanks, Dan.
That's so cool, Dan. No, yeah. I also actually have a business friend who does a lot of like on LinkedIn, who does a lot like Jin Xu, and he does a lot of these presentations regarding doing business in China from like west, from coming from the west, because it's like that kind of that jump is usually very hard for people, because like kind of like their mentality or like the knowledge that they have going in kind of like affects their actions when they're trying to do business in China. And she just kind of like breaks it down really well to help people with that jump, and then to be able to like more openly appreciate like the beautiful aspects of Chinese culture. So I just thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
That is really interesting. Wow. I feel like so fulfilled talking about like the prospects of China, the future of China, and just kind of
Right?
like being excited for it, because I genuinely feel like in the future, like it's going to be such an incredible like people are going to, more and more people will learn the language, more and more people will understand the culture and like this kind of thing. So like all of the viewers right now here, like even us, like I'm really happy that we're also interested right now, like getting involved, kind of helping to make that change and to be a part of that,
Yeah.
to inspire other people. So I'm really like happy and excited for the future. Yeah.
Right. And then also to take into consideration that we're kind of like one of the like earlier generations building this bridge. Like we're not the firsts, but we're like some of like more of the pioneers, like with building this kind of bridge through social media from west to east, and to just really, I think, like bask in like how much of an honor that is as well. And I'm excited for the future generations and kind of the world that they get to grow up in, and just to kind of think about what kind of a China that they get to see as well. And I'm really excited for that. But yeah, it's like to hope that like for future generations that they just have a like better insight and kind of like more just like, you know, like just get more excited for like learning about different cultures and stepping out of like their own hometowns, and just really embracing like other languages and music and food and like I'm excited because everyone will like literally fall in love with China is really what it feels like.
There's so much to experience out there. So I really hope that everybody gets the chance to step out of their comfort zone and experience something new, because that's how we learn and grow as people. So
Yep.
I'm excited for all of this. So yeah. Anyway. So I think like we're running on an hour here. So I feel like I think the main parts of this topic were talking to the viewers, which was amazing, and talking about the China, and I love that. So anyway, I think we are going to end the live stream here. I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching and leaving your comments. If you're watching this live stream later and you have a question for us, just leave it in the comments, and we will be sure to answer it. Other than that, I just want to say thank you to Happi for coming and spending an hour of your day here on this live stream.
This has been so much fun. Like, oh my gosh, I love talking with you. Like, I'm just so inspired now. Like, I'm Like,
oh, I love this.
Wonderful.
Inspiration flowing through our veins. We love that vibe. Okay. Well, hopefully we will see you guys later. And thank you again for watching, and hope you have a great day or great night.
Yes.
That's it.
Aloha. See you guys later. Bye.
Thank you, guys.